Good evening and welcome to the Uplift Network. My name is Paula. This is my channel where we spread positive news across the globe. So we're on a mission, positivity with a purpose, trying to grow an army, a movement, if you will, of positive news stories. Just in this time in the world, everything is pretty negative, doom and gloom. You don't see a lot in the news unless it's these shock and awe, I'm going to call it, where the media gets our attention by these big headlines. And if you notice, it's hardly ever really good news. There's a lot of just doom, gloom, all the things that go wrong, all the negativity. And so I started this channel as a safe space for us to come and share positive stories from yourself, from those around you. So I ask you, please, comment in the comments, send me an email, upliftwithpaula@gmail.com. Tell me your story, I'll share it here. And each week, part of the series that I do on this channel is sharing some news around the globe, just feel-good stories that can help us understand that, there's still hope in the world, it's all around us. There's miracles happening every day, and we need to collectively listen to and dwell on those good things, which will bring us more good things, rather than have these, stories that are continually rotating in front of us on the news, on the radio, on social media, that it isn't happy and good and positive. Because when you're collectively looking at that and dwelling on that, you're just going to get more of that. So let's get right in tonight. As you know, I always keep my notes so that we don't miss a beat. But tonight's message is on hope. And hope is everywhere. We bring these stories to kind of show you that hope isn't always loud, right? It's quiet, it's gentle, it's woven into our everyday lives. And sometimes we just need to look around for it because we're so distracted by all of those other things that the world continues to put in front of us. So small acts of humanity still do exist, and that's what this channel is here to do, is to share those, because if we can create big waves of hope by sharing them, just think about, all it takes is one moment, what a world we would be in, right? So thanks for joining me. The first story is coming to us from Kenyan Teachers Gratitude Circle. So this is from Nakuru County, Kenya, where a teacher noticed that her students were arriving stressed and withdrawn to school. And if you've ever taught children, or adults for that matter, you do notice, every day is different when you walk into a classroom. I've taught many classes over my life in my jobs. And, sometimes the room is filled with lots of excitement, and sometimes the room's a little more subdued, and you really can feel it, right? You can really feel the vibe coming off people. And so children are so innocent, and they carry those emotions strongly as well, especially when there's things going on at home. So you can always tell with a child when something's not right. And if you've raised children, right? Your kids come home from school, or they come in from playing, and you just know that something's wrong, and you're like, what's wrong? Because you know that the person is not themselves today. So she noticed that her students were arriving stressed and withdrawn. And so she was trying to think about, how do I bring it all together? How do I bring them to be present in the moment and leave behind whatever it is that's on their mind? And so she decided to create what she called a 5-minute gratitude circle. I just love this story. For those of you who know me, you know that I'm big on gratitude, and I do believe that when you spend time in meditation, and you spend even just those first few minutes when you first wake up in the morning, being in practice of gratitude, just thanking God for another day. Like, you woke up, right? No matter how bad everything else might be around you, you're breathing, you woke up to this beautiful world, and you get to do it again, right? You get to have another chance to come out and do life again, if you will. So she decided to introduce this 5-minute gratitude circle every morning. Consistency is also key here. And this is a moment where the students could come and share one thing that they were thankful for. I'm sure many students, once they got the hang of this, thought of a lot more things that they were grateful for. And the change was immediate. Students started becoming more engaged. They were being kinder to each other, because think about it, when you share something with others, they start to see you, right? You can walk into a room and see everybody, but do you really see them? Do you really see what's happening? in their life? Do you really see how they feel today? I always used to say when I was younger, I used to get angry in school where I'd watch people treat people differently. Like there were cliques of people. It happens in our grown-up world in the workplace too. Who am I kidding? There's cliquey people. There's people that treat others differently. There's, bullying at all levels, even though we don't always call it that. And I used to say when I was younger, what if we were all blind and all I could do is feel you? I could hear your voice. I could maybe touch you. I could hug you, but I wouldn't have a visual where I could then criticize or judge you. And so I love the fact that there's someone out there that's created something for children, because when you do something with children, they hold it, right? If you think about your life, how many times did a teacher, an adult, a friend, a stranger make a difference in your life by something they did or said, right? So this teacher's done something that these children will carry into other parts of their lives, and maybe it'll be something that they give back one day, right? So this 5-minute gratitude circle every morning changed their lives. Everyone was more confident. They were kinder to each other. Like I said, they really started to see each other, and it sort of spread, right? Word spread that this is what this teacher was doing. And within 6 months, 12 other schools across the region adopted the gratitude circle as part of their daily routine. And then the story goes on to say how local officials reported improved attendance, reduced bullying, and stronger peer relationships. And the teacher said, gratitude doesn't erase the hardship, but it gives us strength to face it. I really love that. I'm going to read it to you again. Gratitude doesn't erase hardship, but it gives us strength to face it. And I feel like this story shows me that, hope grows, right? And hope grows when we teach it, especially to children, right? They're some of the most influential people on the planet. So I hope you enjoyed that story. Thank you to Grace, the teacher who started this gratitude circle. Kudos to you. We need more people like you. I'm glad it spread, and maybe it will spread to other places. Maybe some of you who are listening today are a teacher, and you can implement this in your school or wherever it is you teach. Our second story comes from Japan. I love this story. It's just so sweet. A grandmother knits thousands of hats for premature babies. That's the title of this story. And so I'm going to read from my notes. In Osaka, Japan, a 78-year-old grandmother, her name is Yumi. She has spent the last 6 years knitting tiny little hats for premature babies. And it started when her own granddaughter was born and placed in the NICU, and she was trying to figure out a way to keep the baby warm. So what's really interesting too about a lot of these stories that you'll hear on this channel and in your life, notice that people become more present and wanting to share their light, their gift, if you will, when something happens personally to them. So when something happens personally to you, you're that much more authoritative in your determination to make a difference. Whereas most of the time we're so caught up in life and the day-to-day and the chaos and working and supporting a family and raising children and all the things that we do, that we don't think about how do we contribute to life? What are we here for? What's the greater purpose? What service can we do for others? And so me, I've always said on my videos, even if you feel you have nothing to give or nothing to show or shine, just go smile at a stranger. It'll make someone's day. And go out and try it once and write back and comment below on how it made you feel. Because you really will feel it all the way to your heart. So the nurses had told her how meaningful the gesture was because they knew that it was helping the baby. And so she kept knitting, and she's made over 4,000 hats, and each one is stitched with soft pastel yarn and a tiny embroidered heart on it. I just love that story. So parents keep them as treasured, these little treasured keepsake that they have. And the nurses say that it does bring comfort during a frightening moment. And it helps the family feel a little more supportive that they actually have something special. This isn't just that your baby's going into the NICU and there's a bunch of wires and machines. It's here's a personalized thing that someone in your shoes created to help you to get through this, right? It's helping you get through. So, hope can be held in your hand as tiny as a NICU baby, right? I think that was so special. But this just the way the stories go, if you think about it, we don't hear these. Like, where are these stories in the media? Wouldn't it be nice to hear a good news story, even if they just did one at the end of a newscast, even if they said in today's top, happy story is, because if you think about it, why can the news go for hours? There's a 5 o'clock news, a 6 o'clock news, an 8 o'clock news, an 11 o'clock news, right? How do you find so many bad, negative, oops, look over your shoulder, oh no, the sky is falling stories, but you can't go out and find these? And so this is an outlet for us to do that. So I'm really hoping that you're enjoying the content here. And if you're not, give me ideas. Put in the comments what you'd rather see, right? I really do want to bring you in this space where we can share together and we can rise up together and bring this light back to the world. I think that's the way it was meant to be. So I do have one more story for you. Again, it's about teachers. So in a time when teachers are feeling overworked, underappreciated, underpaid, one woman's extraordinary act of generosity did make the headlines for the right reasons. She donated $1 million in bonuses to teachers within her school district, providing what was described as life-changing financial support. The story is goes like this. The gift wasn't tied to test scores or for performance metrics. It was in recognition of dedication that teachers bring to their classrooms every day. I love that. I think our teachers are undervalued. I don't think they're paid enough. I don't think they're appreciated enough. They deal with an awful lot in the classroom, and the risks are high. It's just as high for a teacher as it is for some of the public servants that are not inside a school building. When a local resident found out that her school is an extremely wealthy Northern California county, but that they were at the bottom of state funding, she stepped up to make a difference. Her name is Maja, and she asked the Ross Valley School District to organize a meeting of 100 teachers from the K-8 school with a special instruction that they were not to know the reason they were being called to this meeting, and gathered in the conference room on August 13th of 2026. She explained that she had discovered that its teachers were paid the least of any peer group in the wealthy Marin County. Marin's one of the highest income counties in America by per capita income and median household income, and sits across the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco. But despite this, the sky-high property values, Ross Valley sits at the bottom 20th percentile for state school funding. So in order to make up the difference, she asked the group of a school district principals to hand out envelopes for each teacher who attended, and they were instructed to open them all at once. And it says, we as citizens, we can write direct checks. She told the assembly, who discovered exactly that, paid to order, each worth $9,161 to each teacher. The bonuses were part of a donation that added up to that $1 million to the school district. And the news media was in the room when the checks were opened, when the envelopes were opened, to capture sort of some of the comments that were made. And one teacher told them this is life-changing for them. And another teacher made a beautiful comment that I really loved. He said, I don't think I've ever experienced such a beautiful gift from someone I don't even know, nor have I ever taught one of their children. I think that's so beautiful. It's, if you think about the person who did this donation, it wasn't about, I'm donating to that school because they taught my child who's now successful or whatever it may be. It was just this blind, I'm donating this $1 million to bring my school district that I'm in up to par with a bonus for these teachers, regardless of who they are. She doesn't know these teachers. They didn't work with her children. I think that's beautiful. Every successful person, I think, in life, if you think about it, successful people usually can turn around and point back to some teacher that made a difference in their lives, right? And even people who aren't successful may say the one thing in life they did right, or the one thing they felt they were doing right, was because of the guidance of a teacher. I think we can all say that. There's doctors, scientists, business owners, etc., who are being shaped today by the teachers of today for tomorrow. So I really Really love that story. It's such a gift of giving, but you don't have to have $1 million to make a difference, right? You look at the grandmother who was knitting the hats. That's just a talent that she had, right? Just you, like I said, if you don't have something or you feel you don't have something to give, because everyone has something to give, but if you feel like you don't, just smile at a stranger. Say hello when you're in a store. Say hello to the cashier, right? You've heard me say that before as well. You continue to hear me say it. That's just my message, right? The news often focuses on the educational challenges, and there's still people out there making a difference for education. And so this story brought some of that to light. Like, I didn't see it on the news. I'm on the West Coast right now, but I think it's definitely worthy of sharing with you. Something I want to conclude with is that small wins that build hope exist everywhere. And hope just isn't just found in those big gestures, right? We call them small wins. Sometimes hope is in a small win. A psychologist once said that hope is a muscle, and the more we notice it, the stronger it gets. And so I really want you to concentrate on your mindset of listening to what I just said around what the psychologists say, which is it's a muscle. So the more you notice it. So instead of going out and looking for the doom and gloom or being worried about the doom and gloom or being worried about, oh, you got to watch your back, got to look over your shoulders. Like if you live your life that way because of the way the news makes you feel, you won't stop and look for the hope. And if you exercise the muscle, you'll see more of it, and it will fill your day with more of it. It'll change your whole mindset for the whole day. It'll change your mindset about work, about some of those things that we find chaotic right now, where sometimes things just aren't going right, or it's not easy to be a parent. It's not easy to be, working and trying to support a family, right? But if you change your mindset, it really does make a difference, right? It can impact your whole day. It reminds me of a story a couple weeks ago. We have Nextdoor here in Nevada, and people will post all the time, somebody's missing a dog, somebody's selling something. There was a man a couple weeks ago, and I was like, good for you. I should have printed that story, actually. He was from the area, like my area, because I think it's like within like a so many mile radius of your home that you get these notifications. And he had gone to Costco on a Saturday morning. And if you've ever been to Costco on a Saturday, you know it's crazy. Like if you go to Costco on a Saturday, you're crazy, right? But sometimes it's the only day that we can go, right? That's my only day to go, Saturday or Sunday. Anyway, so he was going into Costco, and, just like in his rush to go do what he was doing. And a lady stopped him and said, hey, are you so-and-so from Nextdoor? And he was just like in shock, like, yes. And she said, oh, thank you so much for the AC person that you referred. So he had his ACs replaced recently. And he wrote a review on Nextdoor that said, if anyone needs, AC repair, I highly recommend these people, blah, blah, blah. She recognized him from Nextdoor. And she was like, I just want to thank you because we're using them and they're wonderful and blah, blah, blah. So he said, he walked into Costco feeling like almost like a little bit famous, right? Like, oh, somebody noticed me from Nextdoor and they took my referral. And he was feeling really good about himself that he took the time to write the referral, and then really good about himself that like somebody actually recognized him, and it kept like resonating in his head while he's in Costco. He said, and what was funny is it just changed my mindset for the day from like all this stuff in my head about all the errands I had to do. He said, the next thing, I was noticing two little girls with their mother, and they kept saying, Mommy, look at this. Mommy, look at that. Mommy, look at this. Oh, Mommy, look at that. He said, and it just brought him back to a time when he was raising his daughters. And he said, remembering when they were that little and how they were, curious and wanting to know, like, look at this, look at that, right, in the stores with him. He said, and then when he was walking to his car, he saw a grandfather with a little boy holding his hand, walking, and he said he doesn't think he would have noticed those things had the impact of that recognition of the lady who recognized him from Nextdoor resonated so much with him. And so just think about that. Like, it's like when I'm telling you to smile at someone or say hello to someone, or when you get your morning coffee, say, hi, how are you today? Like, we don't do that enough, right? And when you acknowledge someone and it puts a feel good in their heart, their whole mindset shifts to notice the good things. I am sure there were many other negative things happening around him. I don't know what they might have been, but I'm sure they were there. And if he had been in that chaotic, not such a positive mood, he might have noticed a whole bunch more negative things. But notice that shift in mindset, how he noticed the positive things around him that day. And it was almost like, to read his little story, it was so cute, because you could tell he had like a skip in his step, a little pep in his step for the rest of the day. And I thought, that's what it's all about. That's the message of this network. And so for me, maybe that's why I found that story, right? It was on my Nextdoor feed, and maybe that's why, because I'm trying to notice those things. So I do encourage you to do the same. Hope is everywhere. It's in our communities, it's in you, it's in me. And today it's looking for us, right? So let's go and find it, and let's rise up together. So again, my name is Paula. If you liked this content, give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, it doesn't cost anything. Like and subscribe. If you want to know when I post something, hit the little bell, and that will tell you when I'm posting a new video. I do have several videos in the series. Some are just the news stories like this. Others, I'm tracking a miracle journey. I also have another miracle story that I'm waiting for permission to talk about on here. So again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will talk to you soon.